Don't worry, I'm here. Good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Friday, May 30th, 2025. I, of course, am Hammer with Hammer Solutions, home of Originator Success, Grab and Go Social, Rate Sensei, Agent Success, and Mortgage Rate Advantage. Products coming out later this month. So, anyway, this morning, what are we going to cover? We're going to talk about PC inflation data. Spoiler, it was the honor. Like nothing. I told you it wasn't going to be anything. It wasn't. But we'll talk about it. We're going to talk about what's going on with the tariffs, latest headlines on that, what effect it's going to have on rates, if rates are going to go up or down next week, because I know these things. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you the inside scoop. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about next week's jobs data just a little bit. We got all next week to talk about it and more. So anyway, we're there. If you're here this morning, say good morning. Remember, you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. If you're here, say good morning. If you're watching the replay, don't forget, give me a hashtag replay in the comments. Either less people watch the replay or less people bother to do that. So, because I'm not seeing a lot of those anymore. So do me a favor, hashtag replay in the comments, man. I need that. Don't forget to smash that like button, tag and a friend, share this post in a group. If you'd like to be reminded that I'm going live so that you can jump on the show as we get started each and every weekday morning, you can sign up for a reminder to your phone, get a text, hmmr.io/reminder, or use this cool QR code over here. If you're on your phone right now, did you know you can actually take a screenshot and then go back through your photos? That QR code will work. I still think that is the cat's meow. So let's say hi to all the live folks here this morning. If you're here this morning, say good morning. Let me know you're here nice and loud. Good morning, Mike Morano. Mike, appreciate you sharing all those things that you share. I don't read my email much through the day, but I do catch it in the morning, and I often see what you send. So thank you for sharing stuff with me. I appreciate that. Jerry Avila, good morning, sir. Great to have you here. James Mahan, great to see you. Giddy up, Mr. Randy Teagle. Bobby J. Jones, good morning. Mallory Fotiadis, Amy Blauser, Bill Stevens, great to have all of you here. Brandy Brickler, great to see you. Deb Dickinson, Chef Greg, Angela Walters, great to have you here. Bill Patterson, Tina Brumond, Cindy Pulliam, Kelly Hamilton, hello and good morning to all. Where's Siegel this morning telling us what kind of crazy day it is? Yeah, I guess he's a little late this morning. Good morning, Kenny Rivard, Dan Herbert. Great to have you here. Sean Segaloff. Yeah, TGIF. It's cliche, but I'm especially this weekend, I'm feeling it. I got so many things to do, catching up on stuff. So I'm excited. Anyway, good morning, one and all. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Jump right into it. Good morning, Faye. Great to have you here. Also, we've got Austin Smith. Good morning, sir. So, all right, here we are. Let's take a quick look. Let's recap yesterday. Let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to zoom in on the chart down here, and we'll go ahead and draw a few things. So, first things first to note, this is a 5-day chart, but we have Tuesday. This is Tuesday, right? This is Thursday, and today, and you see that we have these dotted lines, right? So basically, this is where we came from, was last week. So I'm going to draw a little arrow like that because that was last week. Markets are, of course, closed on Monday for Memorial Day. Closed early on Friday or on Friday. Yeah. So as we take a look here, kind of where bonds were at, they're up higher. That's good. This is a good thing to see that we are up higher. This increase that we've had, that improved your rate sheets a bit. Was it a tremendous improvement? Not tremendous, but we do see rates improve a little bit over the week. As we take a look here, we started the week, we were at 6.97. This morning, you will be a little bit better, but notice rate sheets aren't really that much better. This is where we were. That's actually here. Let me redo this. So let's look at it this way. This is where we ended the week last week. This is where we are right now. So you do have a minor improvement, but at the end of the day, when it comes to locking and floating, is it really worth stressing out over this much of a difference? Generally, it's not. That's my take on things. I'm going to say generally, it's actually not. So, but as we take a look this morning and we go ahead, let me just adjust this window so that it is in a better spot and I can go over this stuff with you. So, all right. So as we take a look here, let's put this on a 2-day and take a look what happened yesterday. So looking yesterday, this is all of what we've got going on for yesterday. You can see here bonds, improved early in the morning, and this was all before 10 a.m. So we did see better rate sheets yesterday morning than I kind of expected. We were doing the video, it was right about here, and it still improved a little bit more, but then we flatlined on the day. Basically, and that's a win. I mean, that was still a win to see improvement there. That's actually a good thing, and we will take that. As far as today, rate sheet's going to be very much the same as where we were at yesterday. You can see here that we're basically flat, right? This is really no movement. There's no big change this morning. That means that lenders' rate sheet's going to be basically about the same as where they are right now. No reason to expect any big improvement. Looking at Mortgage News Daily, using this as a reference point, that's going to put us around that 6.97, just below that 7%. I mean, again, rates around 7%. Tom Stafford, I don't see him on today's call. Maybe he'll watch on the replay. I saw a TikTok on him, and he talked about Fannie saying that they, forecast that rates are going to be down in the low sixes by the end of the year. I don't see that. I really don't. I think that there's too much being made about the tariffs, and you saw how everybody panicked in the beginning of April when the tariffs came out. And the expectation was we were going to see economic slowdown, inflation, and that would, that was going to be something that could bring better rates. I don't think we're going to see better rates. So keep that in mind as we go there. But as far as rate sheets today, they're going to be about the same. Bonds did start off the day yesterday, in negative territory, but really came back strong. Reprice risk on the day today is low. Memorial Day, which just occurred, it marks the unofficial start of summer. However, it's cold and rainy weekend in the Hamptons. Doesn't feel very summer-like for the weather, but that doesn't mean that traders don't start taking Friday afternoons off. So sometimes we can see some more bond movement on Fridays than normal, but nothing crazy. And lenders don't necessarily aren't quick to reprice either. Right now, you can see here, we're down 2 basis points. We've been up a couple basis points, down a couple basis points. It's really just basically flat on the day. Nothing to get excited about. Taking a look at that 10-year Treasury yield, though, look at this, 4.42. That is a little bit exciting. But when you take a look at the charts and we look at the technicals, you will see that right here, it's going to test that green line. That's the 100-day moving average. Remember, this is yield. And yields are, I always spell these wrong, and then I have to go back and fix it. I before E, except after C. All right, let's try this again. Y, I before E, except after C. There we are. All right, so this is yields. You try writing with a mouse, by the way. I'm not even using one of my cool things. I'm writing with the mouse. So, and when yields, we want that to go down. Down is good. So we're going to give that a check mark, right? So we want down. But as far as going down, you can see that it's pressuring here on the 100-day moving average. That's at 4.40. And it makes it very unlikely to see much more improvement through there. You've got the 25-day moving average, this blue line that's going to also add some more support to that. We could see it improve, but we would need to see some fundamentals, something happening outside of the charts to make that happen. I don't think it's going to happen. As far as the outlook, we want to cut through the noise and look at the outlook for bonds to tell the story. So let's go back. Let's go over what this morning's PCE inflation data looks like and what that means to us. So U.S. inflation rate slows again. Remember, this is the PCE inflation report, which is the Fed's favored gauge of inflation versus the CPI that we get in the middle of the month. The CPI is not the one that the Fed uses. So right now, the Fed's number is 2%, right? The Fed wants to get that to 2%, and this says the Fed's favorite PC inflation index decelerates to 2%. Let's take a look and see, is that the headline number or the core? Let's refresh the Wall Street Journal and see. You can see this isn't even making it onto the front page for the big ones. That's how unimportant the PCE was this time around. Cost of living barely rose. Scant 0.1% last month. Inflation was flat in April. The back-to-back monthly readings were the softest since the pandemic in 2020. The 12-month rate of inflation, which is kind of like a rolling, if you will, so it's 2.1 from 2.3, also dropping down. Again, there's a core and a headline. I don't see whether this is core or headline. We have to find it here. The core, here we go. This is what we want. The core personal consumption expenditure strips away food and energy prices, rose 0.1% for the month, 2.5% for the year. So it's still slightly above the Fed's 2% mark, but it's not much. The headline number is the one that was only 2.1% annually. So this was good numbers, but bonds didn't care. It was a total non-event. Bonds totally shrugged it off this morning. That came in at 8:30. You can see here, right around 8:30, there was no movement at all in mortgage bonds because the PCE data, as I told you, was a non-event, nothing to get excited about, nothing even to look at. So, but let's go ahead and, I mean, the bigger concern is not, as we go into next week, there's headlines all about the tariffs and, the Trump administration basically came out and said, if the court, which the courts, by the way, I'm sure you've heard, but the courts did go ahead and pause the pause. So everything is still running status quo. But even if they do come back and they say you can't use a particular law to pass these tariffs, the Trump administration would have to go through some other hoops, but they say that there's other things that they can pull in order to keep these in. Other headlines, Scott Bessent said that he said, here, where's Bloomberg here? Anyway, Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, he said that China is the talks with China have stalled. Trump is saying that China totally violated the trade agreement with the U.S. So all of this is a bit of noise, but again, cut through that noise. These are the kinds of things we want to be paying attention to. Now, I don't know if did Siegel pop on, but he's talked before about how Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent wants to manipulate some of the Treasury stuff to help bring mortgage rates down, long-term rates down. But at the end of the day, what really, what's going to be a big deal is the fact that it's an excessive supply and waning demand. And as this headline talks about, especially foreign demand. And that's what's really, going to be a big thing. Higher yields on longer-term U.S. Treasuries reflect the real problems, excessive supply and waning foreign demand. Even Elon Musk came in and said that he was disappointed that this one big bloated bill was going to have a lot more. It was going to add to the deficit and require borrowing, and it's ugly. And it's not good for us. So the market for Treasury securities sending an increasingly troubling signal as of last week. Investors are demanding about 90 extra basis points in yield to compensate for the added risk of lending longer term to the U.S. government. In October, before the election, the 10-year term premium was close to zero. The message, America is becoming less attractive to global investors at a time when its government needs them more than ever. Why the declining appetite? And again, this is just an article. It's not fact. It's an article. So, but it does come into play. While the declining appetite for treasuries, yields on competing government bonds have risen. Then there's Trump's trade war. Instead of appreciating, as one would expect, amid rising tariffs, the dollar's trade-weighted value has declined since the president took office. Now, all of this will probably, move along as time goes on, but we'll have to see. You've got all the rest of this, the government's, deteriorating fiscal position. Of course, the argument that Moody's pushed us down in rating, but the other rating agencies had already pushed us down. They were the last one. So, but the one big bloated bill will add $2.3 trillion to the deficit over 10 years, based on some probably optimistic assumptions. It'll be much larger if there's a recession, with borrowing costs, or if borrowing costs keep rising and popular tax cuts are extended rather than ending in 2029. It's 2025. I mean, we're talking about 4 years from now, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff that they look at. So when they get all this, none of this is going to translate to this. That's the bottom line. You're not going to see rates that are going to get much better from here. There's no reason really to expect it. So next week, we've got the jobs data. You'll get JOLTS. You'll get the ADP report on Wednesday. You'll get the jobless claims on Thursday. You'll get the big, BLS jobs report on Friday. unless there was some earth-shattering weakness to the BLS jobs report, you're not going to see rates improve much. Even at their best levels, we're looking at rates going back down to, kind of these things here that we've seen. Earlier in May, 6.92, 6.89, 6.91. Arguably, the best was 6.86. Like that. I mean, really, how far? That's an eighth. You're talking about an eighth in rate better than where we're at today. That is arguably the best we could hope for as far as improvement. Is that really worth putting a lot of risk on there? Not really. So my opinion remains kind of the same. I'd be locking anything closing in less than 30 days. Anything, I mean, it just, if it's 45 to 60 days out, you could float because we haven't seen rates really move higher. They go up for a little bit, like what we saw here, 7.07, 7.08. They were higher for a couple of days, then they come back down. The good news is we're not in a trending environment where rates are moving higher, but there's no expectation to see them move lower. As if inflation continues to move higher, that's going to hurt bonds. As we see these tariffs start to take effect, we're not seeing enough signs that the economy is weak. I've talked before that we're in a consumer credit environment, and as long as consumers have credit to spend, it's going to support the economy. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of improvement in rates. That's me. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Curious what y'all think. Good morning, Katie Colgan in Seattle. Randy Teagle said today's International Hug Your Cat Day. Come here, Millie. Where'd you go, Millie girl? She wouldn't love it. So Mike Morano, on courts, trade pause, but they claim the 232 Trade Expansion Act of 19. Yeah, this and that and the other. They'll get it through. Listen, I don't care. We love them or hate them. Talk about call them the Orange Man, call them the next coming. I don't care what you call them, but Trump has definitely been able to keep things moving forward. There's no expectation that it's going to be any kind of long-term change to any of that. So I wouldn't worry about anything there. But morning, Harry, Dennis, Nathan Einkorn, great to see you guys, my friends. Michelle Valdez, great to have you. So, all right, well, anyway, I think that's it for today. We'll wrap it up for the weekend. What are y'all doing? I got to work on the barn, work on the kitchen. My wall oven finally supposed to come in this weekend, so I'll be putting that in the kitchen. Got some other stuff to do. So let me know in the comments what y'all are doing. We got Grab and Go social pre-sale. If you're interested, it's still open. Go check out grabandgosocial.com or hmmr.io/GGS. Listen, guys, we have done some awesome stuff. Go check it out. If you want to sign up for the free daily lock advice emails, ratelockadvice.com. Sign up for our text alerts at ratetextalerts.com. Go check out how we can help you get loans from Google and social media on originatorssuccess.com. All right, my friends, I'm going to wrap it up. Tell me what you're doing in the comments. I'll be sure to read them, and we'll see you on Monday. Have a fantastic. Yep, Sean, get back on there, man. The beautiful thing is, today's a new day. Hop on and do some posting, right? Hunt test for golden retrievers, Randy. That sounds cool. Very cool. So, all right, y'all. Well, be great this weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye-bye.